Get ready to quit the build.
Here we go.
The QTB crew is rounding up all the gaming news and hot topics of the week with a little extra something. And here are your hosts, Bruno, Brad, and Nick.
What it do? You are listening to the QTB podcast. I'm your host, Bruno, and with me, very special episode. The boys of QTB are here, of course, and we got a special guest from Winner. Ryan is here. How's it going, Ryan?
Oh gosh.
What's up, guys?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so for those that don't know, Ryan, you work with the marketing team here at Winner.
Yep.
I mean, we could say, what do you do? I think the better question is, what don't you do here? Yeah.
That's fair, not much.
Well, but you do it so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All the social media content, all that kind of stuff, that's where he's showing up. But we should probably clarify
Well,
because...
I was going to say, you know why Ryan's here, right, Nick?
Where are we? What?
I was going to say, Ryan's always here. We're here.
That's the weird part.
Ryan lives down the hall.
Yeah, basically in my house.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, if you're ever wondering, like, what, if the claw machines can fit a human being, they can, and that's where he sleeps.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
But to clarify for all our listeners, Nick, where are we at? What are we doing?
We are at the Winner headquarters in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. The first time ever that all three of the QTB boys are in the same space at the same time, which is wild when you think about it, right?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's been a long time in the mix, and I didn't think it was going to be this soon.
Right.
But because of Winner, we were able to be out here together. So we have to give them a huge round of applause.
Yes.
That
Thank
is
you.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for having us out here. And of course, for those of you who don't know, Nick, give them a little rundown of Winner and the app, what you can expect. As Brad mimes for the video, as he forgets,
We're used to
also live on video.
It's okay.
I just, we're all learning here.
I'm up here at the mic going...
There we go.
Because when we're recording at home, you can't, I got the mic, right in my face, so I'm down here, typing and, doing the Watusi.
Oh, yeah.
When no one knows.
No, they don't know.
No. But
Hand
now
check.
they do. Now they do. Yeah.
This is the bare bones QTV podcast.
Yeah.
Sans the elaborate soundboard and obviously the multi-camera production. We're not shooting on 4K resolution with the IMAX camera, and James Cameron unfortunately couldn't be here to
couldn't
direct
make it.
this episode.
He couldn't
get
make
him.
it.
So
Yeah.
I
He's
think
getting ready
work-
for that, Avatar 2
Avatar,
launch?
Way of the Water.
10
Yeah,
years
who's
late.
ready?
10 years
Who's
too
ready
late.
for that? Right?
Come on, let's be real.
Well, I will tell you that while we may not have the full Bruno soundboard experience, we do have a little bit of a mobile soundboard, which means we do have stingers to move into our next segment. What you playing? Okay, so the what you playing segment. Normally we talk. You like that?
Yeah,
You like
yeah.
that? I'm
King
moving.
of segues, Nick. There
I'm
you
moving.
go.
Moving on.
So normally we talk about what we've been playing throughout the past week in video games. Obviously, we've been pretty in the winner in Las Vegas life zone here. So the better question is, what did we literally just play during our arcade trip? So part of this experience is that we have been and we will be going to different arcades and hanging out here at the Winner arcade to record content and do live streams. We just did a live stream at the New York arcade here in Vegas, which was awesome. So I figure, we'll talk about that, right? What did we play? What did we win? We've got our prizes here that we brought home with us, and just kind of talk about the arcade experience, what that was like. So, I guess, why don't we start with you, Ryan, because you're our guest here, and I know you got a very special prize. So how was your trip? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was good. We had, hands down, the most intense game of Deal or No Deal I have ever played in my entire life.
Was Meghan Markle there?
It felt like it. We had 200, which is the grand prize, and 1 left on the board at the end. Unfortunately, we got 1.
So they let you
take-
switch at the end, right?
So you didn't take the deal, and then,
No, we should have. They offered us 100, and we said, "Nah, we got this,"
Yeah.
and we didn't have it.
So you had the 1 in your briefcase?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
they offer, like Nick said, did they offer you to switch at the end?
Not in the arcade version. The arcade version, they just give you what you got. But I've never had that happen before. It was amazing. Besides the lost part, Yeah.
You
Then,
can't get a lot for one ticket.
No.
One ticket is like humiliating.
You didn't try and
Which
cheat
is-
the system by like recording the. Have you seen guys do that?
Yeah.
we pressed play, and then I don't remember if it was you guys or the other. Someone walked by, and then we're watching you guys stream, and then we looked back and we're like, oh, we're supposed to make our briefcase now. So we went in blind. So the fact that we got that close, I mean,
Right.
Yeah. So this is why I only ended up with a little ball shooter.
It's so cute. Let's test out the range here while we're because you got the whole room here. All right. Not bad.
You know,
Like
that's
it? Yeah.
better than I thought.
It's like a solid 3 feet.
Oh no, that's like 5 feet.
I mean, it rolls though.
Okay.
Angle
So
is
maybe when
everything.
there's less. Oh, okay. Now
last
it
one.
doesn't go.
Go for the
It
door.
broke already.
Oh, did you really break
Oh,
it?
wait.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
There
so,
it is.
Yeah, you're
There it
gonna need that
is.
for
Average of
TikTok
4
content.
feet,
Yeah.
4.5 feet looks like.
Yeah.
Boom. There we go.
Precariously perched there.
I mean, it's definitely not the Nerf howler. You know that you know what I'm talking about. Back in the day when they'd have like John Elway throw the ball, and then Jimmy from across the street. Hey Jim, see if you can throw one like Elway. Sure, I'll try. And then he throws it like 3 football fields. So
It's just howling like a storm. Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing. Was there anything else you played that you enjoyed, or was that the highlight?
That was for sure the highlight.
Yeah.
Didn't win a single claw machine, unfortunately.
Man.
Yeah. Didn't have the touch today. What else did we play? The quick drop one. I almost got
Yeah.
the jack. I got like 49 like 4 times and
Yeah.
just
We played that too.
Uh-huh.
I think I came in with 46.
You had the best
Yeah.
score. Yeah.
And then Nick was at like 42, and
Yeah.
then Bruno came in at the high
35.
35.
Yeah, I tried to go for the quick. I was trying to, and
He
then
misunderstood the instructions.
yeah. You gotta go all
I
fours.
didn't understand the assignment, but
Yeah, 4s and then like 1 or 2 5s, and that's how you
That's all,
get
that's
it.
all
but
you need. Yeah.
I just didn't have it today.
Didn't
that
have the
last
touch.
ball every time.
Every time it gets you.
I know
Yeah.
where I had the touch, Nick.
Tell him about it.
The basketball shoot.
Oh my gosh.
Your boy's the resident basketball shoot for QTB, and I set the high score on all the machines. It was the high score across the board.
that's when you know it's been a good day at the arcade, when you set a high score on any machine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You're just like,
Absolutely.
I'm coming in, I'm leaving my initials on this. You will forever remember that I am the man. Okay? So
And we did a couple of comps with competitions with winner, and I have to say I held our own for Quit the Bill on the basketball shoot, set the high score. 86. I'm just gonna toss it out there on a basketball shoot.
Yeah.
you wouldn't believe that is Nick's favorite number.
Really?
It's my number one. Okay, there's a story. It's not even a story. It was like a high school. I don't know. It was like a music.
It was like
class.
a middle school or something.
Whatever
like
it
that.
was
Yeah,
at Faith, where the teacher had asked us to like pick a number 1 through 10, and I don't know. I was a little just speedball of energy back in the day, and I just blurted out like in a 86. And ever since then, that's just
It's
been my
stuck.
number. Yeah.
It's
Well,
stuck.
it came in handy today. That's the high score on the New York basketball shoot, and yeah. So whoever wants to come try to take the crown, I encourage you, but I don't think you're gonna do it.
I don't think it's gonna happen. There was a guy that was giving Brad the eye after he set the high score, coming out thinking I'm gonna do it on the Lakers.
What did he
machine.
get? What did he
Yeah.
get? Like
I don't know. Yeah, I could tell once he started, half shooting. I was like, "Oh, this guy doesn't have the touch."
Right.
Okay, this isn't Jordan. This is Shaq at the
Yeah.
free throw line.
Here it is. Here it is.
That's how the New York was built. Those bricks.
Whoa!
Hold on.
There it is.
Amazing. Well, speaking of races, one of the races that we played that was really intense was that asphalt game.
Oh, yeah.
That was so much fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got whooped. Okay, I was the
Yeah.
only person that chose to drive a McLaren, because whenever I see a McLaren P1, I'm like, that's my car. I'd like to have that in real life. It's affordable. in the terms of supercars, like quote unquote, like it's not the Lambo, right? Like it's like $250,000 instead of $750,000.
That's
so
why you took fifth.
that's exactly why I took
That's
fifth.
why winner swept the
First, second, and third.
And they're all in Lambos,
Yep.
and so I knew it was the car choice from then.
Yeah.
I did everything to keep up with them, and it just was not. I gave her all she had that day.
Here's where I knew that you were screwed. When I was talking to everybody before, and I went over to Alexa, and I was like, Alexa, how are you feeling? Who do you think's got this? And she was like, Rachel. And I'm like, why? She's like, oh, she's a huge racing fan. She loves F1. I'm like, oh no, Bruno's done. Because he's walking in there thinking I'm the racing guy, you know.
Yeah, I'm the F1 fan in the well, and listen, Rachel, I gotta give a shout out to her because even though she did beat me in the arcade game, I would like a rematch with her on a real sim game that has F1 cars. Okay, that is where we decide, because we all know. Let's be honest. We all know that arcade machines aren't always a level playing ground.
Agreed.
Right?
I want to rematch then Bruno on Mario.
Of course,
We're talking about rematch.
Of course, I knew you were going to lose when you didn't choose Bowser. I was like, he's out of here.
I got hosed at the last second because you had a boost. I didn't get one single boost.
I was drifting around the track like it was Tokyo, baby. I was that. What's his name? Sean, but what's his name? Sean. That was in the...
You're looking at me like I watch movies.
I know that. I can't believe that wasn't one of the ones that we watched on Gotta Watch.
I guess, yeah. Well, maybe one day, but yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, you missed it, Ryan. We had later. We did a Mario Kart showdown there in the back of the arcade, and it was salty.
Yeah,
it was salty. I tried to provide some play-by-play commentary.
Bruno was up most of the race.
Yeah.
I made a valiant comeback, and I came around that last corner past Bruno, and then Bruno hit a boost at the last second, and it was like a neck and neck finish.
Yeah,
I was drifting around, and I knew I was like, "This is." I saw him come over here, and I was like, "This is nothing. Watch this. Watch this."
And that's why I got redemption on the Hot Wheels.
Yeah, so that's true. That's true. See, that's one of the reasons actually that I like arcade racers. I will be honest, because for the most part, and I'm not saying this to brag in any way, but when I typically play the average person in a racing game, I beat them. So Mario Kart is the great equalizer, or arcade racers the great equalizer, because that blue shell, that bullet bill, that star power can completely change the tide of a race. And my wife has beaten me on Mario Kart. Now, could she beat me on F1? Never. Not
no.
Never. But
I'm not. When I play you in that with a controller, you've got a full sim rig set up.
There you go.
We're not talking apples to apples.
That's true. And we weren't playing apples to apples on asphalt. I should have chosen what Rachel did.
Yeah.
But I got to give her a shout out because she's a Max Verstappen fan, and so am I. So she says, I've got the flag in my garage, and I'm like, oh, I've got it right behind. Yeah, you can probably see it on stream most of the time. It's up there. That was a very, very fun little piece there. Now we did play some claw games, right? We
played quite a few, yeah. So they did have one that we wanted to try. I don't know if you saw that huge one in the corner that had. And I've heard of these before, but I'd never seen it in person. Where it actually had a camera on the claw.
Yeah.
So it would aim down, so it gives you, I guess, the best possible chance of catching. You can make sure you don't have to worry about looking around the sides, am I lined up?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it wasn't in service, and that happens a lot with arcades. We came across a pretty big strip of claw machines that all kind of very small, very segmented, and they each had their own little prizes in there. And it was interesting when we were live streaming because we were like, how do we compare this to Winner Winner, right? Yeah. And I mean, they gave us a gimme because the actual machines, every other time you would try to just give them money to play it. Yeah. It'd be like, oh, it didn't read, or oh, it froze, or it's like half the time, it just wouldn't take it. And we're just sitting there like, we want that prize. We can get that prize, but we can't. It won't let us play.
Yep.
So there was an immediate barrier to entry, or the bigger claw machines where like the Pokemon ones. We're trying to get the Squirtle, and I saw and shout out to Claw Dude. We met Claw Dude and his wife as well, Kat, and of course Cedar Couple were at that event. And we'll be at the future events too. That they were trying to get that Squirtle, and they were like, "Yeah, it's no good. It's no good." So we you put it right over. You go down, and then the claw just brushes off of Squirtle's head and just moves on. I know you talk about this a lot in your videos there on TikTok because those machines are payout based, right? There's no possible way you're going to win that prize until they say so.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible they aren't, but I mean, it sure felt like it.
That Squirtle was not moving.
Yeah. I did one it was like I think it was a elephant, and the claw just went. Didn't even claw machines break a lot. That's what I've learned working here. So
But see, I think for people who aren't arcade savvy, what we mean by payout based is similar to like a jackpot pull or a slot machine pull rather, where the machine is literally not going to function correctly or have any type of claw strength if it hasn't met the token threshold or the whatever the threshold is, the payout threshold. Yeah, exactly. And that's not the case with Winner Winner. Before we even headed over to the arcade, I was like, I'll jump on and play a few. The first game I played like one, and it just goes to show you that skill-based is much more rewarding than, having to sit there and like inch something over, for and pay like you're like, oh my gosh, okay, it's a little closer this time. It's a little
R.I.P. Cookie Monster.
It felt a little stronger on that last one. I need to play one more.
I think it's ready to go.
Yeah,
but we did win a couple, didn't we?
Well, show them what we got. We won quite a few things.
So we got a nice little what is this?
This is a squid.
Squid. There you go.
Yeah. Little
Squid Games. No, I'm kidding.
And Claude was the one that tipped us off.
Yeah.
Because I think they were done playing and they were like, hey, you want to see something? And we came over to the squid machine and it was like, that one right there, it's ready to go. So sure enough, like 2 plays and we had it. Yep.
Claude knows his claws.
This was Nick's first win. The Munsters. For you classic kids out there who might have seen the original black and white show, and then Rob Zombie did a revival here soon. This was the first one that Nick got picked
Joining
up.
SpongeBob on the couch here.
And then we had a viewer on the TikTok live stream, because we were live streaming this TikTok, actually say, hey, win me something and I'll donate on your stream. And Nick went over and dropped a little click on there the first try.
Nice.
Right? Grab tails there. Epic win.
There you go.
And not only that, we also hit several jackpots.
We hit ticket jackpots.
Well, so Nick, tell us about your favorite game. It has to be one of those, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, okay, so there were, I have a couple that were my favorites. So we... as far as the ticket games go, there was the one where I knew. I walked up, I said, guys, I got this.
Yeah.
Which was Pop the Lock. So I play a lot at a local Dave & Buster's because they have like the half price game Wednesdays, and I will go in there and like run the table. Like I promise you, I will walk out with a prize that's more than what I put in Dave & Buster's power. Like, they are losing money on me. That's how it's
I'll
going to
take
be.
the Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's one of those simple like reflex based games where it's just like the little thing goes back and forth and you have to hit the button at a certain time, but it goes faster, so you need a faster reaction speed. But it's completely fair. Like there's no gotcha moment in that game. So yeah, the first time I was 2 away, and then I'm like, okay, I'm dialed in now. And I got it on my second try, and what I didn't know is that every content creator there was filming me. Claude was recording, and then the Cedar Couple was recording. I'm like, oh, I did it.
It was perfect timing.
It was. And I love machines like that, and I always, when I go to an arcade, if I have a chance to, I'll always try machines like that once that have a jackpot.
Yeah.
Because I want to know, like, okay, when you get to the very end, is there a real shot, or is it luck, or is it just impossible to reach? Like we tried that "Where's the Ball" game, right? And like the first like 5 rounds, no problem.
Yep.
And then the 6th round,
I called it. I was like, they're going to turn up the juice here. And sure enough, it's like...
it was a whole Jamba Juice. that they turned up.
It just went to light
Yeah,
speed.
it's a complete guess.
Nearly impossible to
Yeah.
follow
No way.
along.
Yeah, it's just a 1 in 6 at that point.
Right.
Like, you just got to guess. Like,
Yeah, and then we also there were some other games we played where we did pretty well, but the jackpot that won us the most tickets was yours.
Yeah.
Because we were playing the it's one of those like hammer games where
It's finesse, though.
it's finesse, and I like that because it's not about how hard can you hit it. It's about can you hit it exactly right. Because if you go too high, that bounces back down. So you have to get it right up, and the jackpot's at the very, very tippy top light. And so you both did a couple tries there.
I teased it. I got super close. I was
Yeah.
like 2 away, and that got Bruno invested. And he's like, I can do this. He's like, okay, scan me in. And what? It took you
2 tries.
2 tries.
Yeah, second try.
Delivered. Thousand ticket jackpot.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Those types of things are really, for me, when I go into an arcade, I'm constantly looking at the claw machines. Is there an easy win,
Right.
that I can grab? Because you can nudge them over. Most of the time, though, they're stuffed down so far to where I have no chance of, pulling one out. But, those types of games where you can win the tickets and just hit some type of jackpot, I tend to get lucky. I've done the deal and no deal, bit and hit the jackpot on there. And, there's so many things now on YouTube where, like, Mark Rober, very, very famous ex-NASA engineer, he's done tons of glitter bomb videos and whatnot for around the holidays. He ends up doing arcade science and scans and how, what you can win and what you literally can't. And there are times where these games, you think they're skill-based, but they're slightly, especially the one that has the
cyclone.
The light that goes around and you're like, oh yeah, I can nail this. Nope.
He did also a machine that literally can read it in instant hit, and it skips.
It's skipped. Yeah.
And he was able to calibrate it to be like, okay, well maybe I'm a little fast, and then no, it's
nope.
After a certain number of plays have to occur before it'll even allow it to happen.
Or the ladder one that you at carnivals where you have to climb up the ladder. That's and then it spins on you at the last second.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ones that they're designed with the physics to just totally.
And that's the interesting thing I think about this particular arcade that we went to. Now I feel like there are two camps of arcades that you can be in. There is the classic arcade that's for the gamer. Right? They've got all the classic arcade games in there, like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. They've got, Ninja Turtles and Pac-Man. And then you've got the win-based games and win-based arcades where they want, like Dave & Buster's.
Yeah.
Right? Where they want you to win these tickets and stuff so that you can spend them at their prize shop or whatever it may be. Yeah. And so it's really interesting when you see something that has such a huge library of things that you can purchase, and then not only that, so many different actually ticket-based games. I didn't realize there were so many ticket-based games, right?
We came away with another fun prize that with our tickets.
Oh yeah, so we got to show them what we won here.
Okay.
We got a pretty good haul. I'm not gonna lie.
We did get a pretty good haul.
Okay, so we got the unicorn ring toss game.
Yes.
Which is this is not part of the prize. That's recording equipment.
Yes.
Okay, so it's pretty cool. You put this on right here, and then you get to be a beautiful unicorn.
So Nick,
and for our podcast
Yeah,
listeners at home, he's got on a headband, what looks like a little girl's headband
with a unicorn
with a unicorn horn.
You've got these little pink rings that you.
And then little pink rings that you just try and throw and nail on the horn
and
there.
your boy on the live today
landed the
second toss, landed it right on Nick's head.
We expected nothing less.
Especially after you started shooting threes.
Yeah.
In the winter warehouse with
I was going behind machine, just making it rain. I think I hit one on Claude Dude's recording earlier.
Oh, did you know? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was on there. Mm-hmm. Which, it's just been a great day of collaboration, being up for us to collaborate with other people, see the warehouse, and just be a part of Winter.
It shows you how great Winter is as our sponsor. Having us come out here and getting to be a part of what they do each and every day.
Yeah, definitely. And we see you, Ryan, all the time. You know, you got to have fun on the TikTok. Do you ever? Do they ever say no? Let's rein it back, or they just give you go wild, buddy?
I genuinely don't think my boss watches our TikTok. Because sometimes I'll post stuff and I'm like, I don't know if I should have posted that. And then I never hear anything.
Right.
So I just keep going.
Sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than for
exactly,
permission.
yeah. So if my boss is listening, don't watch our TikTok.
Yeah. The videos of you giving away prizes and I'm just being like, oh, boss isn't here, time to give away free wins. It's just like, oh man, sooner or later he's going to get it.
But that's the beauty of Winner Winner and playing on the app, right? Is there's someone there all the time.
Yep.
They're being attended to, they're being monitored, they're being watched because they want you to win and enjoy the experience. It's not like just a claw machine that breaks down or has an error that we saw today, that there's no one there to really help you enjoy that experience. It's just like you walk away feeling disappointed. But with Winner Winner, you're always going to enjoy it when you play.
Yeah, and not only that, you're going to have the opportunity to have, some extra luck in there, right? Like you're never going to have an arcade employee that came over and saw you almost miss an arcade, claw machine and be like, well, you gave it your all and I'm feeling generous today, so I'm going to open up the machine and let you have it. It's never going to happen at all.
No. Stacy behind the counter is on her smartphone on the tweeters.
She's just not
The
here.
woman today at the prize counter even zoned out on us.
She did.
I
We
was
lost
like,
her.
Can I have that? And she's...
Stood there.
She
It's
fucked up for a sec. I
approach.
felt bad for her.
She was...
Cedar Couple won so many tickets that the ticket machine stopped working.
Wow.
And they had 5 different employees come and look at the machine and then just walk away. And I left because I had to get back here. So I don't know what the resolution of that was.
Okay.
Like there may have been more people.
They were still waiting at the ticket machine
So
when we
it
left.
wasn't even the ticket machine. It was that one Coinbase game was spitting out action cards.
Yeah.
Right.
Superhero action cards that could be redeemed for ticket value, and so different superheroes are worth different ticket values. And I think they had a fat stack of cards.
He
literally
demolished that game.
He was just in the zone, and I think they had so many that it got stuck.
Yeah.
It maybe the inside stock got too full and backed up.
Right.
Like it just.
I think the machine may have just thought they were lying at some point because they put so many.
The security measure was triggered.
Yeah.
That's how I felt when we were at the claw machines. I felt like there was some security thing that was
Time-based
basically
security,
basically saying no, you can only play the machines once every 2 to 3 minutes or whatever. And that was annoying as well because we'd go down the line and it's like, well, I don't want, I might not want this random squid, I might want the tails, right? And so I think that's something that really stuck out to me. It became frustrating because I was like,
I thought Nick was cursed for a little while.
we did.
Well,
Nick
as soon as we started, it wouldn't work. Yeah. But hey, great place to go ahead and get our ad read in here because obviously we're brought to you by Winner Winner. Okay, not just this guy, but the whole thing. Yeah,
The whole family.
Correct. Yes. So, guys, as always, make sure to check out the download app, the download link for that in the show notes for this or in the description on YouTube. Check it out because your first win is free. One of the coolest things about playing on Winner Winner is that if you have a new account, it's always cool when we do live streams or sponsored things and people say, hey, I'm gonna go download the game, and I'm like, okay, let me come back and let me know when you win, so I know when you get the prize. And they're back 2 minutes later, got it.
I want it. Yep,
got
I want
it.
Doesn't take long.
Because it really is that easy, and we haven't released it yet. Maybe as of the time that this will be published, we won't have released it. But we are working on a new jingle that kind of talks about how easy it is to use Winner Winner and win prizes on Winner Winner, which it separates them from all the other competition. I think, especially in the digital claw machine space, because every game you play, you have that chance to win. I was sold on it the first time we first started getting sponsored, and I went on there and I got some tokens. I'm like, okay, let me check this out. Let me see what it's all about. I go into the treasure chest machine with the blue chests, and I played for a $35 Switch gift card.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get this first try. That's why when I did the first jingle, I'm like, I won this on my first try. I actually show the footage in the background of me dropping that prize because I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I literally just won a $35 prize with one play that was, the coin equivalent of that was nowhere near what that was worth. And it wasn't like a special setup. It was just some boxes laying around.
What makes it really fun and I think helps you really have a great chance at winning though is the camera options in the app. When you're playing a live game to be able to rotate camera views. How many times you go, like today we went to a live arcade and you're playing the middle machine and you can't see around it. You've got your depth perception, you can't really tell. So you're just kind of winging it, right?
Yeah.
All the claw games on Winner, there's multiple camera angles. You can really feel like you're getting a good position on where you want to drop your claw, and I feel like that really helps at least me be successful in winning multiple times. I've won many times on the app. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And for all of our viewers and listeners, don't forget that in addition to using our link to download the game and play until you win for free, you can also go to pay.app.winnerwinner.com. That link is also in the description. It's the best way to recharge your tokens. You get more tokens than if you do on the app. But if you use promo code Dale, he's going to give you a sweet deal and increase the tokens that you get up to a bonus 30%.
Nice.
You can't beat that. Thanks, Dale.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Coming in hot.
He's got to do something in a post Kirby Balls landscape.
Yeah. I'm glad he's still out there hustling. I like to see the hustle.
I mean, he is the CEO of Target now, but I mean, it's he's still aspiring to help out the little guy.
Yeah, that's important. You gotta remember your roots and where you came from. Okay,
that's right.
It's important to stay humble.
It is.
It is.
All right. So yes, thanks as always to our friends at Winner Winner who are right here. We say that.
Hey,
that's one of them. That's one of them. All right. So our next segment, we're saying arcade game. Top 5. Okay, so Arcade Goats is the name of the game. That's the name of the episode. So what we're doing now is we're going to go around the room here and just talk about our top personal games. And maybe you don't have 5. I don't know. Ryan has come prepared. He's got a list written out, which is probably good because I usually just wing it. So go ahead, man.
Let's start with the guy who came prepared. I like it.
So top 5. From number 5, the quick drop one, which we talked about earlier with the 5 balls.
Oh, yeah. This is the first time I've seen that.
Yeah. Really. And if you're good at that, it's exactly like you were saying with Pop Vlog. You could win every time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, once you figure it out. Crazy Tower, which they didn't have one today, but it looks like a little pyramid. And then you basically just have to build a little tower. It's similar to the one in our app.
The app. I've seen you play that. It's almost like a holographic projection.
Yeah,
Dave & Buster's always has it.
Mm-hmm, and that's another one where if you get good at, which that one I'm very good at, and you just got to get 50 high and it gets thinner if you miss.
Right.
Crossy Road, solid. That's just fun. Yeah, I don't think that one needs explanation. Mm-hmm. There's one, I don't know if they had it, where it's a piano. And the keys go and it's as fast as you can go.
They had it, yeah.
They did? Oh, I didn't see it.
I set the high score.
Yeah. I wish I am so good at that game.
Oh, okay, then you got to go back.
Yeah.
High record 72.
Oh, that's
you'll beat it.
Round 1 in Dave & Buster's here in town. Whenever I go, whole screen, just me. Yeah. And then claw machines, number 1. Definitely not pandering. I do genuinely enjoy, especially UFO machines specifically.
Yes.
Just because, claw machines are a lot of fun, but they're all pretty much the same. You pick up the prize, and then, with UFO machines, which we do have some, they're always different. You never know, it's all about figuring out the puzzle almost. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones that you have here, I don't see a lot of these in arcades, but I like the ones where it's you actually have to get a ball down a course or you get one of the cars across the finish line.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, round 1 usually has more the UFO machines than anywhere else. Yeah, and they are very unique in that it's maybe it's a prize on some bars and you have to get it in between, or it's one prize, it's in a certain position, the Yoshi that you have to figure out how do I get this Yoshi off the platform. Yeah, and it's a unique challenge that most claw machines don't really provide. So obviously claw machines are number 1. I mean, if you're working at Winner for you better like them.
Occasionally, the whole office here will go to round 1, just for a little group outing, and we'll just clear out the the UFO machines, to the point where the workers start kind of shoving them in because like we've cleared them out like 6 times.
Yeah,
nice. And they start making them impossible so that they can like,
yeah, they have to. Right.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so those are your top 5 there. All right, well, Brad.
I'm going to kick it over to you, Nick. I feel like you've got some good... You can bounce off of that. I feel like you've got some perspective there to add.
Okay. So if I'm going top 5, let me go to like... I'm going to go from top to bottom, because I do better that way. So my number
Lay down,
one...
flip it, and reverse it. Little Miss Elliot.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they say.
Like
That's what
it.
they say. My number one arcade game of all time... I've got to give it to The Simpsons Arcade because you know I think about like the glory days of like the '90s arcade when really the arcade industry was in decline, but like great games were still getting produced, and The Simpsons Arcade was right up there because a good arcade beat 'em up. There's nothing quite like it. You know, so many games these days are paying homage to that era, like the new Turtles game, right?
Oh yeah, and doing a great job at that, right?
Masterclass that game is. It's a love letter to beat 'em ups if you haven't played it. Streets of Rage, the new game they put out, is a love letter to beat 'em ups. But you know, The Simpsons Arcade was nothing like it. Like the color of the cabinet, it was like that light blue skyline. The Simpsons. You would hear the Simpsons theme song, right? The harp, at the beginning when you walk by it, so that would get your attention. And you know, an IP like that, you don't really associate with a beat 'em up. You know, usually it was like X-Men, which is also on my list. X-Men or any kind of like Marvel superheroes, that kind of thing. So for like The Simpsons, it's like, you know, like the first time that you see it, and everybody knows The Simpsons, so it's so recognizable. I just know that any time, you know, when people were still visiting the small, you know, like mall arcades that were around, that somebody was playing The Simpsons, it was very likely that someone else would walk up to this thing and start playing it with you. Yeah. Which is one of the best parts about arcades was that social aspect of being able to join in on a co-op game at any point and kind of back up someone else.
That's how I feel about X-Men. The X-Men's on my list too. I heard you mention that.
Oh, definitely.
X-Men, for me, the nostalgia for that and going and playing that and having it be kind of that like half hexagon type of seating, and then like you got 5 players. I think you have Wolverine, Cyclops. I'm trying to think of who else was on that game.
Storm.
I was always Wolverine. Like that was my go-to guy. Right. You know, but that
Nightcrawler, I think was there.
Yeah, there were, you know, and Cyclops, I think maybe. You know, that type of co-op experience, but you could join back in too if you had quarters. You could always get back in. There was never like, oh, I'm done, like, and you're down to one person.
But yeah, the Simpsons was awesome for that reason. Number 2, probably going to be Pac-Man, because it's Pac-Man. Like. It wasn't a game that I was around for like the heyday of it, but I've been playing so much of the Namco Museum collection that the classic Pac-Man's on there, and the more that I played it and started to get good at it, the more I really appreciated that era of arcade gaming, where like if you were skilled at a game, you could play that game for hours until the game would literally break when you'd have what they call the kill screen, which is because the game literally glitched out and wouldn't allow you to progress. They didn't think anybody would get that far. It was very much it's the golden example of that merit-based gaming era that existed, where the better that you were at a game, the longer that you got to play it. Most games these days really don't function that way. You might get more tickets. Or a fancier ending screen, but for the most part, it didn't really result in a longer game.
No, and even shooters in general nowadays, there's so many. I look at things like Halo Fireteam and in Time Crisis, and there's so many projectiles that come at you at one point that there's no way for you to dodge it. Like you're going to get hit. So they do everything in their capability to get you to put more quarters, in the final thing. And you're right. You could, if you want to go and play Donkey Kong to this day, you can just play it. Yeah. But most people can't get past the first level. It's that hard.
Yeah. And I mean, it gives you a lot of respect for the people that can.
And I was saying, since you mentioned Pac-Man being number 2 on your list, we had a pretty healthy competition today on the Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Pac-Man. What was so? Tell them about it.
Yeah, so it's called Pac-Man Battle Royale, and that was okay. I did have a bit of an advantage. I didn't win, but that game is also on that Namco collection.
Yeah.
So I knew like the format of like how it works, but playing it with an actual joystick was a completely different.
That was
experience.
so hard.
Yeah,
3 of the 4 of the competitors are here today. It was you, Bruno, Ryan, and then
Murphy.
Murph was
from,
there.
from
Yeah.
Winner. So we had a healthy winner quit the bill competition, and it was 5 rounds.
5 rounds, and we each won the first 4.
Yep.
And the game always has 5 rounds no matter what you do. So
it came down to the final
Yeah.
round
Final
to
round.
find the winner.
Yeah. Yep, and that was this guy right here.
Hey!
This guy.
Came back, so everyone else had won the first 3 games, and I'm sitting here with the 0.
Yeah.
And supposed to be Mr. Quit the Bill, even though we've given you that name really. The guy who started it all, Mr. Video Games over here, doesn't even have a win, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't have a win, and so I outlasted the last 2 rounds as a battle royale, and so I just played the clock and let the ghosts do the hard work.
Yeah.
Yep, and it but you were right? Like the joystick was much different. It wasn't right. Something was off. Like I would press down and it wouldn't go down, and so to me, part of that skill was learning the the actual joystick of it, which is, again, one of those things that, really haunts a good arcade.
Yep.
Right? Like, that's the worst when you go in and you're like, man, this joystick's busted.
Yeah.
Or it's not, it just doesn't catch right. Like, it's not optimal anymore because it's been slammed so many times.
I felt bad. But that was the only way I could move, was to like absolutely smack the joystick. Like that was the only way it was working. So I was hitting it so hard.
Just exacerbating the fix.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever the issue was, I apologize.
I could care less if I break it more if I win.
Yeah, unfortunately I still lost.
Didn't amount to anything.
No.
Yeah. But no, just like simple Pac-Man is really where it's at. There's been so many variations, and they had a lot of them there at the arcade, but you just can't go wrong with the classic Pac-Man experience from my perspective. As far as other games go, I'm going to give Claw Machines number 3 on my list because, and I'll tell you why I like Claw Machines over most of the other prize-based arcade systems, which is that you know what you're going to get if you drop the prize.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, most of the time, it's the whole system of like, okay, you're playing with our currency, right? You turn your dollars into our dollars, our token currency or whatever, and then now you've got to convert that to a prize, and who knows if you're getting your money's worth or not. Whereas, if I'm playing $1 per play on a claw machine, I know, okay, if I get this thing in like 5 tries, I'm actually getting a pretty good deal on the item that's in there. And once you're able to ID the claw machines that actually give you a chance every play, and they exist, you just, once or twice you'll know. It's way better to be like, okay, if I drop that prize, I'm going to get that prize. Now, I think Winner takes that one step further because... it would be cool if arcades could do this, but there's no way they would, where you drop a prize and it's like, okay, you can take the prize or you can take like 500 tickets.
Yeah.
Your choice.
Yeah, that's a really cool.
Yeah, because then if you like playing claw machines, but maybe you want a different prize, why not offer that conversion rate?
It basically is like it's combining tickets and prizes in one, right? Like you have the option to really choose what you want to do with what you win, which is incredible to have that flexibility. It's really an awesome feature.
Yeah, if you find a claw you're really good at, you just play no matter what's on it, and then just take the tickets.
That's right. Shout out to all of our skull machine players, Skull Digger. Yeah, that watch that machine. You know who you are.
Yeah,
You know who you are.
We don't need to name names. It's funny because when we first landed, I was the first one to land here, and Brad had to check us into the hotel, so I ended up just kind of camping out here at Winter for like a good 5 hours. And towards the end there, I was bored, so I was just going in and resetting the machines, and then the skull machine was knocked over, so I set up all the skulls. And then someone on Discord is like, they immediately posts a picture and is like, who set these skulls up? It's immaculate. I was like, oh, that was me. And they're like, great work. Everyone's talking about my skull setup work.
Nice.
Because I was very OCD about
very,
it.
very proper. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
noticing that. Even today, you redid it
yes.
again.
Perfect.
I was like, wow.
Thank you.
Sounds like you got a calling.
I mean, setting up machines. Who knew? I should have worked in a bowling alley.
Except for
I hear most of them have like missing fingers. So
Listen. We know you have a tarnished reputation and feeling towards bowling alleys in general because they revoked your 8th place trophy. Is your 8th place?
That is correct. Yeah, I'm sure we've talked about this at some point, but we need to let Ryan know.
It's been how many episodes? We haven't even talked with Brad about this.
Yes.
It's pre-Brad that this story happened. So Nick and I used to bowl in a league together at a very dinky, the only bowling league or the only bowling alley. I want to say in the state, but that's not true. But it's definitely the only bowling alley in our area, and they gave, of course, they gave trophies at the end of the season. It was just more of
8th
like,
place, man.
Yeah.
8th place. You could tell they were giving
only
some
8 of them,
petition.
that's-
There were only 8 teams in general.
I don't think we beat anybody. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were called the Gutter Balls. And I was on the team for quite some time with Nick, but eventually stopped, and you kept going, right? And it went downhill from there. After I left, it all went downhill.
It got pretty bad. And I mean, Ryan, when I say think of the seediest bowling alley you can imagine, and then just add one more layer of unfiltered Camel cigarette ashes.
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
The guy behind the counter who's supposed to drill the holes, had alcohol in his breath.
Yeah.
And my poor nephew went in there with a brand new ball he got for Christmas, and he was like, I'm going to get it drilled, and he's left-handed, so you'd think that they drilled it for a right-handed person.
Oh. Little Timmy.
Poor Jack. That's his name.
Yeah.
Short Jack. Yeah, right.
That's a shame. We had this was the last season I played. So I'm like, this is ridiculous. That we got a last place trophy, and they gave us the trophy, but we had more teams than I want to say it was 12th place, and I think maybe we beat one team, maybe we didn't. Who cares? But we got a trophy for it, and it was a cheap, dumb little trophy. It couldn't have been worth more than $12 of what it cost the manufacturer to produce this thing. So maybe a week or so goes by. And
he's reveling in his 8th place win.
I just really feel like I accomplished something.
Yeah. He beat out those 4 other teams, and he is just really thinking
with
about
massive handicap.
Touring, going on the circuit. Hey, you need a handicap though, because when you came in clutch, you really came in clutch,
right? And so what ends up happening is that we have a call that comes in from not from you guys, from the bowling alley, and they're like, "Hey, we have there was a misunderstanding, there was a miscommunication. You weren't supposed to get a trophy, so we need you to give the trophy back." And so that's exactly what happened. Is we ended up returning this trophy.
8th place. Could you imagine making that phone call?
Yeah.
How awkward of a phone call is? Excuse me. I'm going to need to speak to Mr. Nick. Okay. This is the 8th place winner from the Pikeside Bowling Gutter Balls team? Fantastic. Okay, well, I'm sorry I have to call you today. This is really unfortunate circumstances, but we're going to need that 8th place trophy back.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to get that.
We need it ASAP.
Yeah.
So if you could run it in by the end of the day, that would be fantastic, because there's someone here more deserving of this 8th place than you.
Yeah. So, yes.
Could you imagine? Literally, there's someone more deserving of this 8th place trophy. Here you go, kid.
Yeah.
How deflating is that for a kid?
I don't know.
You're getting your 8th place trophy revoked. Wow.
That was my last season at Pikeside Bowl. So.
I would imagine, yeah.
There's no coming back from that.
No, there's not.
That's the Pikeside story. It's really bad. It was a cheap
I know what
plastic
I'm
trophy.
getting you for Christmas.
Yes, the Gutter Balls consolation.
8th place
I'm
with little asterisks.
8th place asterisk.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So wow, a fun tangent there. But
Worth
it's so as far as my top 5, I gave 3 there. I mean, for the other ones, I would say any skill based game that I know I'm good at. It's one that you wouldn't probably
I was
know.
going to say DDR. You got to have DDR.
Okay, I'll put it on the list.
Yeah, I was going to say, why isn't that
four.
on there? Yeah.
I for whatever reason, I don't really associate DDR with as like an arcade game, even though I played it so much in the arcades. Probably because I just played it at home so often afterwards that, because you're losing money.
Well, that's kind of like when we saw Fruit Ninja today in Temple Run, right? Like they were taking mobile games and then making them into arcade experiences. It was kind of weird. Like, I played that on my phone. I don't really need to play this in a big thing.
That's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
You said DDR isn't necessarily an arcade game. There is a culture of DDR players. It's intense. I went to Dave & Buster's one time. This guy came in, sweatband. He had a cooler with him. Went and hours just on the DDR Max machine pulling out Gatorades. And it was amazing.
So back in our prime, that's exactly what I did. Like I was at the arcade playing because I played at home so much, and they finally got a DDR machine at our arcade, and I was ready to go. I said, "Let's go."
Yeah, it was in the Martinsburg Mall. R.I.P.
No longer standing.
No
it's
longer
now a Chili's.
standing.
So did you have one of those plug-in mats at home?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
And that was it. Like, and there was a whole culture around it. Like, you would, and I made a lot of friends, through that I still are friends to this day. And that game was the only thing keeping me from, sort of not being overweight, like in my teenage years. Like I was sweating off the pounds.
I played DDR too. It didn't do crap for me. I'm just letting you know. I mean, Nick was better at me at DDR, but it wasn't like I didn't.
We were playing on easy mode. It was on like intense.
Expert DDR, kind of had a
he can. That's the thing. If you've never, that's one of his hidden talents, I would say, and Nick is any rhythm-based game, and that's why he said that instead of just DDR. But DDR, I think, is one of the ones that he just if there's a machine there, it's impressive to watch him. Now he hasn't done it in many years, so I'm sure I don't think you'd go straight for max 300, right?
It's like riding a bike.
Just like shooting a basketball.
Yeah.
You just got to dust off the rust a little, but it's still there.
It'll be maximum displaced hip.
Well,
for me,
he utilized
throw a disc out in his back,
and you utilized the bars. You were you had to.
The song was hard. You had to use the bar because you need to be able to stabilize and also expend less energy per step. Now I'm serious. That was it. It really was
science. I agree with you. That's awesome.
He's looking at the caloric intake of each step, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna need to really.
I gotta keep my heart rate under 110 for this."
Right.
There is one that literally has a heartbeat in the back. Is it with a healing vision?
It's one of them. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, love that.
Yeah. And so I've kind of come to expect, because my understanding is we're going to the Excalibur Hotels arcade tomorrow. That's a bigger arcade.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure I'm going to run into one of these machines, and I'm going to be forced to.
That would be amazing.
So just make sure to stretch before we go.
Yes.
Yeah. And if it doesn't, we're going to round one because they got a whole wall of them.
Okay.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. No, it is impressive. I always like to see Nick play any rhythm-based game. Like he said, he did the piano one right there and instantly set the high score. After his first try to get the hang of it or whatever. And
that's
so
awesome.
we played guitar here. I brought us down because I was expecting the bass part and got the rhythm guitar part, which I definitely didn't like.
He did not carry that team. It was really bad.
What was entertaining was watching the discussion of okay, I'll take the bass, you take the lead.
Yeah.
And then it completely not being selected that way, and you were both like, all right. and you guys both knew at that point.
It was downhill.
It was over. You guys were in the red for...
We didn't paint it black. We painted it red.
In your defense, I walked by while you guys were playing that, and it sounded like just a trombone through the speaker.
That speaker was blown.
It was.
So I don't know how you're supposed to keep rhythm, which is like...
Yeah. It sounded like the kazoo version of Painted Black.
Trombone champ.
Literally trombone champ.
Our viewers today on the live, though, picked it up. They knew it. They
knew it, yeah. That's good on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. So those are my arcade picks. Bruno, what do you got?
Well, I'll keep it short and simple. I gotta say, I definitely think that Simpsons and X-Men are up there. And I'll throw in because I know that you didn't quite hit it, but any of the Ninja Turtles games. I'm really drawn to those instantly. Now, I feel like everyone has their preferred fighter game. Right, like if you're a Street Fighter fan or if you're a Mortal Kombat fan. I was always into Virtua Fighter. So if there's a Virtua Fighter machine out there, I definitely am flocking towards that. And then, of course, I love all the light gun games like Time Crisis and, even the new Halo Fire Team is a really great experience. But I always want to go home with some type of prize, right? And I would much rather try my luck at a claw machine getting a plushie that I want versus like overpaying, or not getting something from the prize wall that, like when we went and we had to spend a jackpot's worth on jelly beans.
Yeah. Oh, which by the way,
we'll get to later.
Prize. Yeah.
So we got
another live
the one thing
coming.
we did with our leftover tickets, which was like 400. We got some of Bernie Bot's beans.
Nice.
So it
Flavor.
can be anything. Like there's Tutti Frutti, Vomit, all your favorites are here. Yeah. So this will probably be content at some point.
Yes, you'll definitely see that. I think those are my and I'm going to throw this out there too. Pinball machines. I have grown to love pinball machines because of my wife. She and her dad would go to the arcade and play them, and they would play together. And so a lot of people are, they didn't realize that you could play co-op pinball games, and you each take a flipper, and it becomes this co-op experience. Cool. Yeah, it's really cool. Like instead of you playing one, and so my wife and I always play pinball machines whenever we can find one. And so that's her favorite, and we each take a flipper and really try and get as far as we can, and it's a really fun way to turn what it should be a single player game into a co-op experience and say, hey, especially if you've got like a little kid, we've got Nick and Brad over here with toddlers, and I've got a newborn as well, and having them be in control of one flipper is a great way to get them in the mix. But if I have to hit a classic arcade game, Nick, you hit Pac-Man. I'm going to say Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong for that one. I think it's so hard. The first level is so hard. I always can get up to the top, but I can never get past that very, very top one. And then there's chances where I can. And man, it's just so rewarding when you get those, like any of the old arcade games, because they're so hard. Frogger, anything. It's deceptively simple, right? Like you're like, this is easy. I can do this. Yeah. But that's pretty much it for me. Now, Brad, I know I stole your X-Men one, but you got to have more on there. Right?
So I'll keep it short. But I got two. So besides, as we saw today, I love the physical arcade games, so basketball shoot, football throw. I mean, I was setting some high scores today. That's kind of my wheelhouse. Yeah. The first time I ever played this game was at an arcade, was Crazy Taxi.
Oh, yeah.
And, that for me was such a cool experience, and there was always a line for that game because it was that concept of like it being a racing game and you're fighting time, but it wasn't competing against other people, it was competing with yourself and how quickly you could get people to where they wanted to go. And every map, you had to learn the map to know where there's shortcuts or and they did give you the arrows to help, but there were ways to kind of finagle your way and get there quick and get that fast money. So
I like that. Yeah. Well, and that reminds me of the Hot Wheels game that we played today.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. Where it was an arcade Hot Wheels game and you had to collect coins. So it wasn't about coming in first in a sense of I'm going to beat you over the finish line first, but just who could take the best course to grab the most coins. Yeah. I like those types of games where they flip the script and give you something different. You're right. That's an awesome pull.
So Crazy Taxi for me then, and then they brought that to console.
Yeah,
which was great to be able to experience that after. And they kind of did it. There was a Simpsons spinoff too, Simpsons Road Rage.
Simpsons Hit and Run, wasn't it?
Hit and Run, yeah. Hit and Run.
Okay, yeah. Either way, yeah. So that I played both of those on console, but the only reason I liked those was because I had played Crazy Taxi in the arcade to begin with.
Yeah.
So that
awesome
one,
soundtrack.
Offspring.
Offspring,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
They have a Pizza Hut and a KFC in there.
Back when licensing wasn't so hard to come by.
Whatever.
And then this one is kind of a one-off. It's kind of interesting because I loved I had never seen a game with that type of arcade control experience. We talked about joysticks and stuff earlier a little bit. It was this golfing game where you had to spin the ball.
Like Golden Tee.
Golden Tee.
Golden Tee,
There you go.
Yeah.
And you could hook it, you could fade it, and it was all about how you spun the ball. And I thought there was something very stimulating about how you played that game.
Yeah.
Regardless of how well you actually did, people just wanted to go up and spin that ball.
Oh, yeah.
And that to me was a really unique arcade experience. Not so much the game itself, but like the way you played the game in the arcade. You didn't get that anywhere else. Yeah. So I think those two, from a unique standpoint, really like opened my eyes to there being a different way to physically play games than just with a controller or with a joystick and buttons.
Yeah. Asphalt did that for me today when we played Asphalt, and you were like, you got to buckle up, and I was like, what? And then we get in there, and
Comfortable experience.
and I went for the crazy because I'm like, I want this thing to jostle around.
Oh yeah, it did.
I wasn't buckled up at first, and there was a little thing on the screen that said, like, for a more enjoyable experience, buckle up. So the first, like, half of the race, I wasn't buckled and nothing was happening. And then halfway through, I just, like, buckled in, like, mid-drift and just, like, yanked to the side. Like,
That was that multi-car fold-up.
Yeah, it was wild.
Safety first.
Yeah.
They try to tell you that.
What's the beauty about this conversation, what we've seen so far, is that we've all had similar but yet different. There was something in an arcade that we all resonated with that was different but also similar things. So that's the beauty, right? There's always something for everybody.
Yeah. I think anytime you go past an arcade, Nick mentioned this before, and it's kind of just that almost the window appeal, right? Like when you first pass, what are the most prominent games that you see when you pass an arcade? And DDR was always at the front.
Yeah,
it was, especially if you were like on the boardwalk at someplace like Ocean City or New Jersey or even Santa Cruz, and there's an arcade there. If there was a DDR machine, it always drew a crowd. And they even had things like remember the drum machine? There's an actual drum machine where you can play drums. And me being a drummer, as well, I just naturally would go in and start playing, and anytime there's a musician, or somebody doing something to music, it becomes really special and instantly draws a crowd. So I hope that we can get that this trip, because
it's around. The drum machine you might be.
I'm talking definitely DDR.
Oh, definitely
I'd like to see you on.
That's
there.
still a thing. They're still making new entries in that series.
Yeah.
It's great. A lot of what you were just talking about, Bruno, we discussed in our two-part Patreon series, right? The QTB Nostalgia Vault. One episode I did with you, Brad, and the other I did with you, talking about arcade games. So what better way to transition here than to thank our Patreon supporters?
Press the button.
Wait, hold on.
Come on. There we go.
Yes. Okay. I'll add the jingle in post, because we don't have the 70s game show music. It just doesn't have the same zing, the same pep.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, But I'll tell you, thank you so much to our QTB Patreon Infuego supporters, Epicapture Productions, Matt.Bat, Alexa, and our newest Infuego supporter, Josh. Thank you so much. Yes, and our QTB Plus supporters, Nick, The Dudist Monk, Indie Gamiacs, Alan Abadessa, Mr. Grove Games, The Intergalactic Pinecone, and Fluffy Bunny. Guys, if you want to support the QTB network directly and support our vision of positive and inclusive gaming, the Patreon really is the best way to do it, because we just get more of a percentage of what you send there than pretty much any other platform. Tiers start as low as $2 per month. At that $2 tier, you're going to get access to our entire backlog of the QTB Nostalgia Vault. We've got over a year's worth of content, and then some. Talking about the food, games, movies, books of the 90s and 2000s. We take a look back and look at our favorites, and we get the favorites as well from our viewers, so they get to kind of contribute to the conversation in that way. Then at the $5 tier, you get the sticker, you get the shout out on every episode. Then the $20 tier, that's the QTB and Fuego, you get exclusive merch. And Fuego means on fire, for those of you that didn't know.
Sure. He's on fire.
You can say, I'm in Fuego. Maybe that's the t-shirt we need to get.
He's on fire.
Exactly. You get exclusive merch there that you cannot get anywhere else. Like, we're talking t-shirts, tote bags, mugs, and a whole lot more.
Yeah.
So thank you all so much. Patreon.com/quit the build. The link to that is going to be in our show notes or description. Now, for our final segment here, guys, I thought one thing that we should kind of separate from the other games is like light gun style games. There's so many
Bruno
great
mentioned that
shooters.
Yeah, I did,
He
yeah.
kind of teased it. I was
Yeah.
like, okay.
Uh-huh.
He said Time Crisis. I was like, oh, we
Yep.
got to have a talk.
Yeah, so that's going to be it. We're going to talk about our arcade shooter goats. Okay. Yeah. So we went over here first
You
for
want
the
to
last
shoot a goat?
round.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Sorry.
I don't know
if
I don't know if you've played Goat Simulator, Brad, but goats are kind of jerks.
Yeah, Goat Simulator was so intense that they skipped over the second Goat
Probably for the
Simulator
best.
Straight to
and
three.
went straight to 3.
Straight
I
to
love
three.
That's how intense it is. That's what's good. That's why we haven't had a World War III yet. Mm-hmm. That's good. It's going to skip over 3 and go straight to 4.
Whoa.
Swerve.
I know. Deep conversation, but these are facts, people.
This is the one thing that we don't want to hear from Bruno Stradamus.
Yeah.
If there's a war that breaks out in the next couple weeks, you can blame him.
Yep.
Hey, well,
Yeah.
we know it's not going to be a war for I don't know.
It's gonna be Waterworld. It's gonna be the war for water.
I was
Yes.
gonna come up with something like a war for like
as long as
Triscuits.
as long
those
as
aren't that
costumes
great.
around,
Could
we'll be
be.
okay.
Or like
Yeah, I wouldn't fight for those.
Yeah, I wouldn't fight for Triscuits
No.
either.
Cheez-Its, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But
Maybe.
kind of circling back here.
Rein us in here, Brad. Yeah.
Light Gun Goat, the goat
Yeah.
of Light Gun Games. I want to kick it over to our special guest,
Okay.
Ryan, first.
Okay.
I want to see if you can tee us off here. Can you name off in your opinion, what you think is the goat in terms of light gun games?
Mine, it actually wasn't on the little like teaser list you had, but it's Alien Extermination.
Ooh,
That
that's a
one's
good one.
solid.
Yeah.
I feel like it's actually winnable. Like you kind of mentioned earlier, like some of them literally impossible.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you get past one level, and I don't know. It's just I feel like that was the one that was like in the arcade by my house growing up, so it's probably a bit of a nostalgia thing. Like
Yeah.
we didn't really have Time Crisis and stuff like that. We did, but it was like the dusty one in the corner. And like, Alien Fire, yeah.
Right.
It was like the shiny new thing. Yeah, I just think it's solid. Like,
It's a good game. I remember playing that. Yeah, and there were a lot of Aliens games that came out. They had like a regular arcade style game that was almost like a Contra style. Like you're moving left and right, and there's stuff in the background that you can shoot.
yeah,
But that was a good one too. It was like a rifle that you had though, right?
yeah, it was almost like a minigun type looking thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Very unique weaponry. Okay,
That's
that's
attached to the machine, so you couldn't like
right.
lift it up.
And that
Yeah.
was a difference, right? You had some that you let you actually pick up and shoot the weapon, and others that are like, no, you're gonna stay right
Yeah.
here. Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. Why don't we keep things moving, Bruno? What's your goat?
Now I know you're thinking I'm going to say Time Crisis because I always mention Time Crisis, and I feel like Time Crisis has its own bravado because there's been 5 of them.
Yeah.
And for those who have never played it, it's a very straightforward shooter. It's most always better as a co-op. But there's a pedal that you can go in and out of cover, and if you double tap it now, you can also switch positions, so you can move to a different position and whatnot, which is also pretty cool. But I'm going to say, and I never remember the name, and I'm going to need your help on it.
Okay.
I think it's Silent Scope.
It is.
Is
Yes.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Silent Scope is one of those games as well. Now, the reason I like Time Crisis is because it has that pedal aspect, but Silent Scope was also very interesting. And if you don't remember that one, that was the sniper game where you had the actual screen that everyone could see, and then there was an LCD screen inside the sniper rifle, and
that's
you could
cool.
look in there and actually see your target from in there, and you would it was like a rail shooter. You'd go on like a helicopter or something, you'd have to take out so many people, and that one to me was always just really unique and a lot of fun. That's another one that if I see, I'm like, gotta play that one. But I think between Time Crisis and Silent Scope, those are 2 of my favorite. Now, I did play the Halo Fire Team.
Yeah.
Right, I did play that one. I sat and played the entire thing from start to finish. And It was good. There were some levels that were a little bit better where you had the tank and whatnot, but I feel like that's Halo in general. Yeah. Whenever you've got the tank levels, it's better. But you're right. Ryan mentioned something about having the freedom to move the gun around, like in Time Crisis, versus something that is static and stationary, where you kind of have to.
It's built into the unit. Yeah.
Yeah, and so for me, they both have different experiences, right? The Halo one, I could sit down and enjoy. I couldn't do a whole playthrough of the Time Crisis. You got to sit awkwardly and then switch hands, and you're like, So, Brad, what is one of your favorites? Now we've ran the gamut here.
I've got one that's not on one that we haven't talked about.
Okay,
yet. Crisis Zone.
Okay,
it's a spin-off of Time Crisis.
Yeah, so it's a spin-off, and you get the machine gun instead of the pistol.
Yes.
And that one's got freedom of movement as well, and you gotta use the foot pedal to
I remember that one.
Yeah, you got the riot shield.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's how you took cover.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that one was one, because we didn't always have a Time Crisis, but then that came out, and that was cool because you felt like you had movement, you could pedal, you could use, like you said, the shield.
And the submachine gun was always the go-to in Time Crisis.
Super cool.
Mm-hmm. Like if you played Time Crisis, you always either wanted the shotgun or the submachine gun, which came later.
That was Time Crisis 3.
They started adding that,
so
and then
it's technically an extension or a spin-off of one of the ones we've been talking about, but because it had the other guns, it felt like you were. It felt substantive when you were holding it. Like you felt like you were. Holding something.
It was hefty.
It felt kind of semi-realistic.
Yeah,
right. And maybe that's
some weight
not
to
a
it.
good thing. Or maybe in today's world it's not a good thing. Yeah. But back then it felt I felt involved. Like I felt like I was actively playing that, and it felt realistic at the time as a kid.
Yeah, it never got a follow-up, so I guess it wasn't as commercially successful. But what I liked about that was that in Time Crisis, when you're taking cover, you don't know what's out there. Like, you have an idea of what you left, but as soon as you pop back up, and it happens all the time, where you'll have, like, they'll send the one guy at you that, like, always hits, right? And so, like, you duck and reload and then pop back up, and, he shot again.
Yep, right there.
Yeah.
That was that moment I'm telling you about where there's nothing you can do. It's just like the game is like, nope, you're going to need to add some more quarters here in a little bit.
It's time to pay up, Johnny. But what the game that I'm thinking of, Crisis Zone, what I liked about it was that when you had the riot shield up,
you could
see through it, right? So you knew exactly what you were going into whenever you decided to get back into play. So that was a very cool component. I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot that game. My game is one that you may know about, but for whatever reason, I played it more than any other light gun game. It was on my PS2, but there were arcade versions. I'm thinking of Point Blank. So Point Blank was essentially take Mario Party, but make it only shooting games. That was Point Blank. And there were multiple entries in that series. And when I first got my...
It's kind of like Rabbids.
Basically.
Yeah, because they had a Rabbids machine at the New York arcade, but it wasn't plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's a really interesting one.
So I had seen it in an arcade before, but when I first got my light gun for my PS2, the games I got for it were the original Time Crisis, where you could not take cover.
Yeah.
And then I got Point Blank 2, I think it was called. The game is fantastic. Like, there's tons of games you can play. They're really varied in how they're played. There was even, like, a campaign mode where you have to go through, like, this haunted house and, like, decide what direction you're going to go, and there's random encounters and things you have to overcome in, like, a final boss, depending on how well you did. I probably put 100 hours plus into that game at home.
Yeah.
And then I saw it in the arcade and tried that. I'm like, this is good, too. Yeah.
That also had massive success in Japan. It was huge.
Oh, it felt like a Japanese game.
It was huge. Because it's also known, I was just kind of looking it up as you were talking about it. It's also known as Gun Bullet. Okay. It's another name for it, and it's huge. It was huge in Japan.
That was the Japanese translation for it, obviously. Like Point Blank, Gun Bullet. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, so that was my favorite, and I didn't even think about that until recently. I'm like, what was that one game? Like, that was a lot of fun. I like Point Blank, and it was multiplayer too, so you could have two players that were competing like in the same competition.
It was the second highest grossing, best-selling video game in Japan on the PlayStation in 1997.
Wow!
So across all games for the PlayStation, it was
that's saying a lot, especially from an Eastern demographic there, because that's not something that you would expect like a Final Fantasy type RPG,
right,
or something like that to take the top spot in any type of Japanese.
It seems like it was a pretty good strategy. We talked earlier about how games that were on like mobile going to arcade or vice versa, like one after the other, there seems to not be as much success. This seemed to launch multi-platform at the get-go, and it had success across both in arcades and on console.
Yeah. I think that goes to show you that that certain developers are very good at towing the line of arcade experience and actual console experience. Because think about something like Turtles in Time. Where if you pick up and the best example of this is if you pick up the new Cowabunga collection, which is currently available on all consoles. It has the arcade version of Turtles in Time and the SNES version of Turtles in Time, and it's a different experience. Yeah. There's more coming at you in the arcade experience because they're trying to get you to die and add more quarters to the game. So it really is interesting whenever you get one of those games that can kind of cross that threshold of good console experience and a good arcade experience, because ultimately it would be amazing to take home one of these arcade games, right? Like, it would be so fun to take home. But we all know that you'd play it how often, right? Like how you'd play it once, maybe 15 minutes, something, depending on what it is.
For it.
Yeah, unless of course it's a DDR machine, which there's like tons of different songs in there. I think about like Justin. Our QTB guy Justin has a DDR machine at home. Like, has it, so.
I have an honorable mention too.
Okay.
And the only reason I didn't pick this is because I didn't know if it counted as a light gun game. But Buck Hunt?
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
One of my favorite games.
Oh, yeah.
And I always forget about it, but...
You got the sexy ladies coming in there giving you the thumbs up.
But like the customization, like for its time, we talk about games now that are really realistic. Like Bruno, you talk about F1 and how much customization there is on selecting tires and engine and all the parts. Buck Hunt, for its time, depending on where you were hunting, what conditions, it gave you options to pick like what gun you were going to use, or you could use a crossbow.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was awesome. That totally qualifies.
Yeah, and like in the town I went to for college, very small town, all we had was a bowling alley. That was the only game.
I feel like he's talking about us, because I went to Shepherd University, and it was a small college town, and the only game they had in their bowling alley was Big Buck Hunter, I think.
We're talking about goats. You went to Shepherd University.
Our mascot was the ram.
Hey, there you go.
Our mascot was the ram.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, you said Buck Hunt. What just played off my head? The OG of shooter guns, Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunt,
we
yes.
About that.
Yes, which I have seen. No lie, I have seen a Duck Hunt arcade cabinet. They did make them. Yes, they did make them. It was one of those, like, Nintendo did a couple arcade cabinets where they would basically send the NES and they would put arcade games on that, and you could play it in an environment. And I think it's actually in Concord. There is where it's at, Brad.
Is it Qzars?
I don't know, but it's like a comic book. It's maybe like a comic book shop or something like that. I found it, and I was like, I've never seen an arcade Duck Hunt game, and it was literally just a tube TV, in a cabinet with the NES version. They're just basically converted to an arcade experience. So it's pretty crazy to see how far we've come with those. I definitely would love to have an arcade game in the house, but there's no room for it. I mean, that's...
we were looking at the new Halo one today. That footprint of that is massive.
Yeah, and that's a double one. So they do have a two-seater one, which is a little smaller. But it goes to show you too that companies are out there now. We're gonna get started on Halo. Halo shouldn't have been developing.
There we go.
It shouldn't have been developing an arcade experience with how poor Halo Infinite is doing. But I do have to say,
the box, Nick. I'm sorry.
I do have to say that it is refreshing to see a big studio like that take a beloved series that we all know and kind of bring it into an arcade experience. It makes me wonder what they could do with something like Gears of War.
Who knew that we'd have to bring Bruno all the way out to Vegas for him to take the high road?
You know, it's
Like, I mean,
you got him in such a good mood.
Yeah, a nice relaxing
butter him
day.
up with the time in the arcade, and then you know what? Everything else seems to just not matter as much.
No, like I said, it is a the Halo Fire Team. If you haven't played it, it's a very, very good experience for a Halo game. A Master Chief, if it makes an appearance in there, a cameo appearance to come in and help you at one point. You can select any mission that you want, so you don't have to play from the beginning every time.
Oh, that's cool.
There's a lot that they did right with this arcade experience, and like I said, I think if developers can find the time amidst all the things they're doing to have an arcade experience like that, I think it's going to change just the entire ecosystem in general.
It's a really interesting question to kind of think of it from the business side. I'm going to take a little tangent here, and we got Ryan here. Maybe you can give your insight. Obviously, with Winner, I would say years ago, developing games with a large footprint from a hardware standpoint probably is requires a lot more operating capital, right? Because you've got to replace parts. But we're thinking about these AAA developers, how much money they're spending to develop a digital game. Yeah. You could argue that you could be spending that money to put out more physical arcade versions of games with that require that more, that footprint of a presence of equipment. And it just seems like, in today's world with so much money being invested in these games that are being developed that take so long, maybe physical footprint games are starting to make a comeback again. We
can only hope, and I say that from a standpoint of someone who loves arcades, and I would assume you have the same standpoint, right, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big decline of those kind of games honestly came from the fact that people just stopped playing them. Because if you think you go to your arcade and it's going to cost you $1 every time to play a light gun game, or you could play a game where you're going to get tickets back.
Right.
So people stopped playing them for a very long time. Yeah. But a lot of arcades are moving towards the model, and it's kind of the same one we have, where you could just pay for time now. Mm-hmm. So you get you buy an hour for $5, so you can knock out as many as you can. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's so one of the there's a pinball museum. It's called the Pinball Museum, Next Level Pinball, in Hillsboro, Oregon, and it's near where we live, and we've gone there. There's a $20 cover charge to get in. You can play all day. They have over 500 machines in there. It put New York to shame in terms of how many machines are there, and they're all free play. You go up and press. That's how I got to play Halo Fire Team from start to finish, to be able to just say continue, right? And get past those things. Those types of experiences, I think, are where arcades can really make a comeback, and I think that the pandemic unfortunately did a number on arcades. You had even mentioned that as well. Yeah. When we were doing the tour about how many claw machines just got left alone because no one wanted them, and now they've been they've hit a revival, and in a way where anyone can play them. That to me, and you've showed us what you're doing behind the scenes and where you hope to go with Winner, and I got news for you guys. If you like arcades and you want that arcade experience, stay tuned to Winner, because they've got some things coming down the pipeline. They are trying to bring you the live arcade experience in a mobile app form, and that's what's awesome to me.
And even more than just the arcades, I mean, the live trivia is already up and and running, and it's a really unique experience because it's giving actual live hosts a chance to interact with the viewers and create curated quiz style content.
Yep.
It's really cool. I mean, it's the app is
it's like a pub, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you go to the local trivia night at your favorite place. You've got that right. That's the community, right? Like that's what's important, and that's where arcades are really like we were talking about before, being able to come up and just join in on a co-op game, or putting your quarter on the DDR machine to let them know I got next and I'm gonna crush your score. I know Nick did that. So.
Yeah, I'm not that confident.
Passive aggressive look with the quarter set. It's like I'm coming.
Just keep stacking them.
Yeah.
Pop the lock, I got you. But every other game, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
What do you do now? Because you just use a card now.
No.
You just
Put your card on. What's that? I'm gonna take your
So
card.
Nick plays pop. What is it called?
Pop the lock.
Pop the lock, and then he pops, locks, and drops it on DDR.
Where's that button?
Ayo.
Well, as the song goes, you dip it, you pop it, you twerk it, and then you stop it because it's time for us to wrap up this episode of the QTB podcast. Thank you. Listen, guys, it's been a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun here. And by the time that this is already out, we'll already be done with the week. But we got a lot more stuff coming up. Live streams of a tour here at Winter that we're going to give. And I even got to do trivia one day. That was a lot of fun. And, of course, the lives at the arcade. And we're going to be putting out content. If you missed those lives, short form content of us hitting jackpots and us have the fun moments that we had, like when Bruno clocked me in the face with a squishmallow.
Teaser.
This one right here. We're not friends. The s'mores,
I didn't throw that out. I swear, I just tossed it.
You don't have to tell me, Ryan.
And let's give. Speaking of Ryan, let's give him one more big round of applause,
Yes.
Ryan, for coming on the podcast.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
It's fun.
Yeah, well, as always, to our viewers and listeners, make sure to get on our website, quitthebuild.com. That's your one-stop shop for all things QTB. Get the merch, check out the blog, get that link at the bottom of the website to join our Discord, where a lot of stuff is happening now. All sorts of people. The community really is growing at a rapid pace. I think our Discord has like tripled in size over the last month alone with our TikTok streaming, and it's great. Like I hop in there and I see, there's like 3 people playing Fall Guys like at one of our voice channels, like on their own. It's not like a scheduled event. So that community of positivity and, like we keep saying, inclusivity of no matter how you express yourself, because gaming is a toxic space. We've talked about this many times on Quit the Build about just the times change. But certain things about certain things don't, and that is that even in modern days the same Call of Duty lobbies are just like they were in the Wild West days of like Xbox Live. And so there's one thing that we've learned in our many years of gaming is that if you want a community that is about being in one place and having the same mindset, it's not based on a game. Some people say, this game is toxic or this game is really toxic. Every game is toxic. You have to have a community that has the same mindset because some people enjoy toxic gaming. But we're low sodium around these parts, okay?
Watching the
I say
cholesterol.
low, I didn't say no.
I still get salty. Don't get me wrong. But I think that
Sprinkle.
just a little salt bay right there.
Ask him what he thinks about the PS5.
Oh no!
Oh God!
We're out of time.
Next episode.
Yes, but you're right. And that's what Quit the Build means. It means to basically reset your mind and come back at it with a fresh attitude, maybe on a fresh server, maybe circle the arcade and try out a different claw machine and then come back and boost your confidence. Anything like that will help you in the long run and help your mental health. And honestly, at the end of the day, video games are meant to be fun. And I think when you stop having fun and you start stressing with video games, then it loses the value that you've put forth with it. So that's what our community is all about. Be sure to check it out, quitthebuild.com. We are going to end this episode the same way.
Just got a quick plug. You got to get on our website, too. We got a great community page. Merch. The holidays are coming up. Get the Quit the Build ugly Christmas sweater.
Get the sweater.
It's there. Now's the time. We're in November. The holidays are fast approaching. So check out our website, all our socials. Check out the merch. Represent. Show us off.
Check out one of these shirts on there. We got them all rocking right now.
Team's fully equipped today.
Yeah. We equipped the build.
We did.
I missed the purple memo.
Oh, that's a good line. Equip the build.
Hey, I like that.
Build.com.
Here we go.
Write that one down.
Yeah, that'll be
Yeah.
a new shirt coming
But
up.
yes, how are we gonna wrap it up, Bruno?
The same way we always wrap it up, okay? And I'm going to call it out. For Nick, Brad, and Ryan, I'm Bruno.
For Bruno, Brad, and Ryan, I'm Nick. And then Ryan says...
For Nick, Brad, and Bruno, I'm Ryan.
Ryan,
Hold on.
Bruno, and Nick. I'm Brad. Take it.
Peace out. What it do? Thanks so much for tuning in.
Quit the Bill.